Good afternoon. My name is Ben Bingle, and I'm the director of the DeKalb County Nonprofit Partnership at the DeKalb County Community Foundation. We want to thank you for joining us today for our Grant Seekers Workshop webinar. Now, before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items. First, we are recording today's webinar, and that recording will be sent to you by email along with the slides and an evaluation link so that you can provide feedback about today's session. We also have everyone muted, but please feel free to use the Q&A and the chat features that are built into Teams, and we're going to save some time at the end to address questions that you submit. You can also send those privately to me in the chat if you prefer. We do have a lot to cover today, so we're going to jump right in, and I'll begin by sharing with you a little bit about the Community Foundation. The DeKalb County Community Foundation was established in 1993, and we partner with philanthropistic benefit organizations and communities throughout DeKalb County. We like to say that we connect people who care with causes that matter. Currently, we manage over $50 million in charitable assets, which allows us to distribute over $4 million a year in grants and scholarships. Our mission, which you can see there on the slide, is to enhance the quality of life in DeKalb County by addressing community needs and expanding, managing, and distributing philanthropic resources. Now, we do this in a variety of different ways, but as you may imagine, grant making is a key component of our work. When thinking of the Community Foundation, it seems most people are familiar with maybe one or two of the grant programs we offer. Yet, in fact, we offer quite a few more. And of course, you may only be eligible for one or two, but today we're going to take a very inclusive approach to provide a little bit of information about a lot of different funding opportunities. And you see those listed on the slide here. Please know that we're only going to scratch the surface today, so there are guidelines and details associated with each of these grant processes. Be sure to visit our websites to learn more, to check your eligibility, and also to review details before applying. To get us started, our grants director, Jolene Willis, is going to summarize the Community Needs Grant Program. Jolene?
Thank you, Ben. And you see the slide there because it's dark for me, but I don't know. Do you have the? Okay.
Ben, you're muted.
Just one moment, folks. We'll be right back with you.
It was black. And then it just appeared like right when you left. So
that's what it should be.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm sure it was all on my end since this is a new format for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with you everything we have here for the Community Needs Grants Program and the others we administer here. Starting with the Community Needs Grants Program, as everyone knows, it's an online grant application. It's our most recognized grant program, and many organizations ask about how, what are their best chances and how can that be administered. So how often may I receive a grant? That's something new for this year. In the past, it still holds that organizations can only receive one successful grant per 2 consecutive grant periods. So, for example, an application in the fall grant period is funded in any amount, that organization is not eligible to receive another grant until at least the following fall. So if you received a grant, say this past fall of 23, you wouldn't be eligible again for until fall of 24. And if a grant application is not funded, an organization may reapply with a similar one or a new application in the next grant period. However, new for 2024, if you've had a chance to look at our grant guidelines on the website, we have a new stipulation in there that if organization has been a successful recipient for 3 years in a row, for 3 sequential years, we're asking them that they sit out for 2 grant cycles. So there's examples there in the guidelines to walk you through that. You're welcome to call our office to confirm and verify that condition, but we're doing that in hopes to spread more opportunities around the county, more organizations and that. And so we look forward to seeing that going forward. Timing, plan your grant project and request accordingly. As you know, we fund 2 cycles throughout the year, spring and fall. Those dates and guidelines are on the website and opens January 1st here for the spring, and then opens again later this fall for the fall cycle. Large grants, there's a stipulation in there too that any grant recipient looking for over $20,000 in funding needs to complete a letter of interest or intent submittal to us in the first month of the application period. So for this cycle, it would be due February 1st, and that's a separate application on our website. It walks you through the questions we're seeking and trying to learn more about the large scale and scope of your project. Once that is submitted, there's about a 2-week turnaround period that will review it at the staff and committee level, and then get back to you with feedback about whether or not to submit a full application due by March 1st. As always, in the guidelines there, depending on what type of organization you are, if you're a public school district or any school district really, we seek to have opportunities there for each building. So an elementary, middle, or high school building would be eligible to receive 1 grant per 2 grant periods. We also require letter of support from the district office or administration office that it's aligned with school district priorities. Higher education and municipal or governmental entities also can apply by department. So the public safety department could apply, community development department could apply within a municipal organization, say. So those are all things to keep in mind as well. So for community needs grants, focus areas, let's see. You can see that we have our 5 main pillars there of arts and culture, health and human services, education, community development, and environment and animal welfare. Those are all ones that we seek to fund. If we move on to the next slide for community needs grants, guidelines, and emphasis. Preference is given to applicants and or requests there that meet the biggest impact in DeKalb County residents as much as possible. We believe that encouraging these priorities is the best way to do that. Collaborate with other organizations. That's a key component, especially if you're a new organization, maybe a newly formed nonprofit organization. We want to see you reaching out with your colleagues and other entities that we feel that would be a good fit to accomplish your goals. So show ways to show that collaboration partnership in your application include letters of support. Like I mentioned, from supporting organizations or being a member of the DCNP, which is near and dear to our heart. Sometimes we're approached by individuals wanting to start a new nonprofit or program, and with our wealth of knowledge in the nonprofit community, we know that there are often other organizations that can be used as a resource for that program. So that networking within DCNP and through the staff here at the foundation is really invaluable to make your best proposal. Most projects that receive the largest % of their requests have shown an effort to leverage the foundation's dollars against other sources of funds. So if you already have received grant funds, or you could ask to match those dollars with a grant from the foundation, or maybe you have allocated a portion of your operating budget to the project, but need a grant from the foundation to complete the project. Include in-kind support in your budget so the committee can see exactly how how committed the community is to the project, and your organization monitorize your volunteer time and include it as covered cost in the budget. Even if you haven't nailed down another funding source or are planning to host a fundraiser or unsure of how much will raise, include an estimated amount. If you do not show any leveraging of funding in your application and only ask the foundation for support of the project, it's very likely that you'll either be partially funded or asked to cover the remaining costs with another source, or not funded at all to return or asked to return when you found another partial support, so you have a stronger application at a later time. So that's kind of a walk behind the scenes there a little bit, and let me go on down a little bit further here. Organizations located outside of DeKalb County can receive a grant from the foundation if the project is a benefit to DeKalb County residents. We have a few instances of that, and they must make it clear in the application. So if there's a state or national organization, they have a chapter here locally, or if there's a letter of support from the local entity, that will go a long way in solidifying your support here. We move to the community needs slides on projects or purposes generally not funded. Our board recently added, the phrase updating technology a few cycles ago, because do you fund computers or don't you fund computers and technology? That's a hard question to answer without saying it depends. Our grants are considered operating, our grants committee has decided that computers, technology, and software updates are considered operating costs. So if you're updating already existing hardware and software, that's generally considered an operating cost. You can apply for technology funding if you're starting a new program and require a new computer workstation or the purchase of a new software to start a new initiative or program, but would encourage you to include how the future technology updates to the new program will be funded, because it is expected that the technology will need to be replaced in 4 to 6 years. And, that's something we see the organization taking on as a recurring cost. Churches and religious groups can receive a community needs grant as long as the purpose of the grant is to benefit the greater community. A program that is intended for only members of the religious organization would not receive funding. So if a church has a food pantry and that serves the general public in that community, well, then that's an eligible project, not funding their, own youth group that they need a bus just to haul their youth group around. It would need to be really serve a greater purpose or need. Capital projects are eligible for funding, but we are aware that if your request is greater than the $20,000, you must notify us with the letter of intent application by the due date. And requests to reduce your mortgage or debt payments are not eligible for funding. You cannot apply for a political project. The foundation stays nonpartisan in all of its grant making and initiatives. And few or many individuals may benefit from a grant, but we cannot fund projects for the benefit of one individual or entity. And so that's the community needs program in a very quick overview. And I'll move on next here to the Wurlitzer Foundation fund grants. The Wurlitzer Foundation also runs in sync with our community needs application period. So applications are due March 1st and September 1st, offered twice a year. It's to support music education in DeKalb County and across the greater Chicago metropolitan area. And emphasis this year, if you note the guidelines on the website, is placed to prioritize DeKalb County projects a little higher this year. So George Buck, his contact information is located there on the screen, George at DeKalbCCF.org. He is our consultant who used to work for Wurlitzer and has a long history and knowledge of that organization and their funding priorities and goals. But you can see there from the bullet points what they involve and what they support. So grants are generally 1,000 to 10,000 in range, and they have an independent board of advisors that review those applications and make those allocations. On to promise grants. We have a great history with this program. In 2023, a little over 8,600 was granted out to this program, and It supports charitable and community organizations that provide services to underserved and often dismissed populations in DeKalb County. The purpose of the Promise Grant program is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals who may experience extraordinary challenges due to their ethnicity, immigration status, and abilities. Organizations are encouraged to apply for a Promise Grant to enhance already existing programs, not to create new programs necessarily. The committee tries to fund the applications based on how well the proposed project fits with the Promise Grant guidelines, and all guidelines for our grant programs and press releases of past awardees can be found online. I do want to touch on that. Our grant programs all have a great section there. If you scroll down the page past the application logins, that we post past awardees and short descriptions of their award and project scope. So I encourage you to kind of look through there if you're not familiar with our programs to get a better idea of past awardees. Moving on to emergency grants. Ones we hope aren't having to be used, but they're available in time of need, and those can be accessed for up to about $2,000 per grant. It's to assist nonprofits in experiencing an urgent, time-sensitive funding need created by an unforeseen event that interrupts essential services. Wasn't part of your capital plan to replace this piece of equipment, or just something really disrupted the service, or it's an urgent need for your operation to continue. For example, a natural disaster related impact is obviously a very relatable expense here that would be very unforeseen. And so it's a limited budget that we have for the year, but we do have these funds available. It's not for unforeseen opportunities necessarily. So it's not for a school field trip or opportunities or for routine capital replacement projects that should be part of your routine maintenance schedule. So, for instance, natural disaster pretty much sums up what this need is based for, and we have those funds available and have helped quite a few organizations over the years. So as I mentioned, applicant tips, moving on to that, what we want to see across all of our responsive grant making programs, is mostly common sense there. If we really encourage you to read through our website, read the guidelines. And we want to reiterate that although many of our grant programs and initiatives are administered for unique purposes and therefore may have some differences reflected in their guidelines and processes to apply for and receive a grant, briefly go over, what some of these have in common. And that's what is up here at the top, that it must be for a charitable purpose, provide a clear public benefit to the residents of DeKalb County. You must be a recognized nonprofit, have your federal EIN number, have a clear community benefit, and all of our grant application and allocation decisions are made within about 2 months after the grant application deadline. We also require that our non-discrimination policy is adhered to because these funds are for the greater good and public service. On to the next slide here of do's and don'ts. Pretty much what we see is, I think what you could anticipate with a lot of grant projects out there is, we're not a huge staff. We don't have all the time in the world like a lot of people, but things we do like to see is review the project, especially large requests, with grant staff ahead of time. If it's kind of an unknown project, or maybe you're new to us, please contact us with what your project is, what you're thinking, so you don't waste your time in something that might not be a fit, or our committees, in something they really see, could be useful, but it just wasn't really well thought out. Maybe a little more time could build you a stronger application. Photos help, if there's a before and after sort of situation, you have this equipment need and it looks like this now, but show us what that looks like or what your need is. Just a couple photos, it really is all we need. Any new organizations out there, we do encourage you to contact us ahead of time, to right size those requests and project scopes. review our past awards, as I said, review our guidelines. You know, it's part of the grant application to check off that you've done that. And sometimes we look at applications and we thought if they just read it through a little more thoroughly, they would see we're asking for something different here. And complete your grant reports. You know, those are important to us as we monitor how funds are used and allocated around the county. And follow-up pictures there are greatly appreciated in the grant reports to help us demonstrate, you know, what's going on in the county and how those funds are used. Some of our don'ts are included incomplete application, where we have to comb through and then notify you that, you know, it wasn't sent to the committee because it was incomplete. Lack of local support or no collaboration. We've seen those as well. And just, you know, it's unfortunate, but we'll have to send it back. Don't copy, cut, and paste and use old applications for new requests. You know, we can tell if there's been some recycling going on. So really help, you know, prepare your application in your current need and current voice. And don't bury us in paper either, because while we want complete information and complete accuracy, you know, and things and photos and all of that, you know, if you think a document's going to be really too big to send to us, please let us know and we can help you, you know, better gauge whether that's appropriate to submit. And vague project budget. The matrix we provide you is pretty self-explanatory. Just put your detail in there on who's involved in the project, who's you know, being allocated for what, and we can go from there. So that's all I have for the 4 programs I had to cover, and I know I glossed over a lot of that, so I look forward to any emails or follow-up questions. Next, we have Noah Norbrock, our Donor and Services and Marketing Director, and staff advisor, who's going to review the YEP program and grants opportunity there. Noah?
All right. Thank you, Jolene. So again, Noah Nordbrock, Donor Services Marketing Director and YEP Staff Advisor. So before I jump into the grant program for YEP, I just want to define a little bit about what YEP is. So that is Youth Engaged in Philanthropy. It's high school students. This is a youth-led committee. The membership here for that runs all of high schools in DeKalb County. This is our 15th year of the program, and we have about 80 members representing 10 different high schools. This committee meets monthly throughout the year. They participate in some volunteer activities. Sort of the big idea with them is we want to teach them all about what philanthropy is, what are nonprofits. We want them to build an understanding of the different youth needs in the community. And then we also want them to learn how to analyze grant applications and understand what that looks like. And then, of course, we want to award some funding to programs and projects that will benefit youth in the community. Next slide. So what are YEP grants? So YEP grants, we aim to enhance the quality of life for youth in DeKalb County. That's the mission of YEP, and our grant program follows that as well. So our grants, we want them to enhance the quality of life. Projects considered for funding, they have to be dedicated to the community. Of course, they have to be directly involving youth in some way, shape, or form. We want them to promote youth empowerment and leadership. The maximum request is $2,500. This is an online grant application. And what makes this program a little more unique is that it's youth-led. So what I think is one of the really cool parts of this is that the members will actually come in and visit you. So you apply for a grant, you request some funding. We'll have a group of students who will come to your organization, learn a little bit about the program and the project. We'll probably snap some photos along the way of them doing that, interacting with you, but it gives you a great opportunity to kind of show them in person what you're going to use the money for, which is a really important part of it. And just something to note too, that this group of students who comes to visit you, this is the group that will represent your grant application in our membership. And so we have a meeting in April for YEP, and this group will be the ones that will not determine, but they will talk through your request, and they will allow the rest of the group to hear any findings that they have, and they will also make a recommendation whether or not we should fully fund, partially fund, or zero fund your application. Next slide. So the the grants here, they're available to nonprofit organizations and any eligible community organizations serving DeKalb County. So they're also available to, places like schools and any libraries as well. The requests, as you can kind of read here, some of the bullets about impacting youth. We do follow the 40 developmental assets. So these are healthy building blocks for youth. On the website, when you go to apply, there's a link there for a PDF form. You can take a look at that and kind of see what those different 40 developmental assets are. If you're touching one or two of those, fantastic. If you're reaching, 10 to 20 of them in your application, even better. But just want to make sure that you look at those before applying. And then, of course, we wanted to have some accountability and a defined measure of impact too. So the grant guidelines are also available on our website, so you can take a look at those as well. We do have some applications that preference is given to. So any of them that involve youth in the application process. So if you have some students that are helping, maybe they're the ones actually filling out the grant application, or they're sitting with you and they're helping to fill it out, that's going to actually weigh a little bit more for a preference. Also, any of that address mental health. Mental health is the #1 youth issue all across. And when we surveyed our YEP members, they all told us that's the issue right now affecting youth in DeKalb County the most. So we're also going to give some preference to that. And then any that work to strengthen diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we want to continue sort of hammering that point. That's a really important piece as well. So we want to make sure that we're giving proper weight to those applications. So moving on to the timeline, here's just a quick snapshot of the timeline of how this will work. So December 1st, the grant application opens on our website for YEP grants, and then it will close February 1st. So you got about 2 weeks here to apply for a YEP grant if you haven't already. I think last I looked, we had maybe 4 drafts. So typically we receive 14 to 20 applications. Because you're in this meeting now, I'll give you a heads up that we have around $17,000 to distribute this year, which is the most YEP is distributed. So I think 3 years ago we had around 17,000, but this year we have a little bit extra. So this will be our biggest amount of dollars to distribute this year. So between February and April 1st, the members will begin their site visits to all the different grant applicants. And then in April, we'll have our meeting, and that's when these students will decide where the money is going to go to this year. They will present their recommendations to the Community Foundation board in late April, and then in early May, well, actually, we'll let you know first. So late April, early May, we're gonna let all the applicants know what the funding decisions, what the outcomes were for those. And then anyone who receives funding will be invited to our May meeting. It will be the second Monday in May. And we will hand out probably just maybe not grant checks, because with ACH, we like to distribute money that way, but we definitely do want to recognize you publicly and also hand you an award certificate. So want to make sure we do that. So one example here of YEP grants, jump on that next slide there. So this is just an example from Wall Camp. So this is a 2022 YEP grant request. The request was for harnesses and helmets for a rock climbing wall and a zip line. The purpose was to provide youth safety equipment for a rock climbing wall and zip line. The expected youth benefit was around 350 youth campers, and the request amount was $2,100. So on the next page here, you can see the total that we actually granted to the individual, to Wall Camp. So we granted them $1,000. So this was a partial fund. The members decided, just due to the amount that they had available, that $1,000 would at least get them going with harnesses and helmets. So the wall and zip line, it's open now. Safety equipment has been purchased. Some of the outcomes that they've discussed was that it promotes team building, empowerment, confidence, and more. So this was an example of a really good request, one that we would have fully funded had we had more dollars. We would say, from a YEP standpoint, this was, just a great outcomes for the request itself, because it did promote positive youth development too. So some tips for YEP grants when applying. Just really can't stress that enough to review the grant guidelines and the 40 developmental assets before applying. There is a little section in there about things that YEP typically doesn't fund. Make sure to be clear and intentional. So just to give you a quick example of maybe some things that YEP typically doesn't fund, those would be things like food and snacks for meetings, t-shirt costs, staffing costs, and scholarships. And we also don't typically fund repeat grant applications. So if you asked for funding for something last year, if you came back to us with the same request this year, most likely you would be zero funded for that, just because we typically with YEP, we want to make sure that they're new requests for new youth impact in the community. Be prepared for questions. So that's another cool thing about with site visits. You'll have some high school students asking you questions about your application. So heads up, be prepared. The questions range all over the place. Yeah, so I'll just give you a heads up on that. Some of the favorite questions are things like, if we can only fund a portion of this request, what part would you want to see funded in full? Also, like, would your project succeed if we were only able to partially fund the request? I already mentioned involving youth in the application. That's a good tip as well. And then secure, if you can secure additional funding from any other outside organization, that looks really good on your application, and the members do note that. So that is one of our check boxes that we check as we walk through these. So that's it for YEP grants. I'm going to move this along here to Ben Bingo, and he's going to talk a little bit about DCNP.
Okay, thanks, Noah. And a reminder to everybody joining us today that if you have questions that are coming to mind, please drop those in the chat or message them to me, or you can use the Q&A feature. We're happy to address those at the end. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about DCNP, which is our capacity building program here at the Community Foundation. We're a membership-based program, and so last year we had over 180 members all throughout DeKalb County. Some located outside of DeKalb County that offer services here as well. But really, you know, we exist to help strengthen nonprofit organizations, and we do that in a number of ways. You can see those main areas listed there through leadership, professional development, and collaboration. You can always learn more about what benefits we offer, and you can become a member or renew by visiting dcnp.org. So what does DCNP do? Well, we work together with nonprofits and others to collaboratively strengthen the sector in DeKalb County. What does that mean? Well, you can see some of our benefits listed here on the slide. We offer year-round training and professional development for our members on topics ranging from HR to strategic planning to fundraising to volunteer management and recruitment. Those topics are driven by our members. It's very important for us to have that feedback loop in place so that we can ensure our training is timely, relevant, and valuable for our members. So we offer that year-round. We also have an annual conference called Nonprofit Day. Many of you have participated in that in the past. We do that in September, and just a great day to come together, to learn together, and to network with other nonprofit leaders in the county. Throughout the year, we offer coffee and conversation as well as marketing meetup. Coffee and conversation takes place on a monthly basis, and we have a conversation starter each month or an open topic if that may be the case. And it's a great way to build relationships, to network, and also to raise up any issues or challenges that you have while using the brain power in the room as a sounding board. So those meetings are fantastic, and marketing meetups are kind of a similar format, but they're quarterly and focused solely on marketing and outreach topics. We also offer, typical networking receptions that you may be accustomed to. Great chance to meet others working in the sector. And then at the bottom of the slide, you can see some of the things that I'm going to talk about in more depth in the next few minutes. Give DeKalb County, the internship program, fly grants, and our professional development micro grant program. First up is Give DeKalb County, and this is our annual philanthropic event. This year, it's on May 2nd, 2024. For future reference, it's the first Thursday in May, whatever date may fall on that. We've been doing this since 2014, and since that time, Give DeKalb County has raised over $8.7 million. Just last year alone, it raised over $1.8 million through 8,306 donations. Now, why are we including it in our grant seekers workshop? Well, because the donations are made to the DeKalb County Community Foundation, whether that's online during the 24-hour giving event at givedekalbcounty.org, or if it's by mail during our mail-in donation period. We also offer a donation drop-off period here at the Community Foundation. But the point is that those gifts are made to the Community Foundation, and then they pass through the foundation and out to those participating organizations as grants. We treat them as grants anyway. So that has a variety of different benefits. One is that you don't have to necessarily deal with the transactions associated with that. The donors are getting their acknowledgement letters right away. And you may receive 100 different donations during Give DeKalb County, but then you receive that one single check that is net of fees and also adds in your percentage of the bonus pool. So it's convenient for many organizations. A couple of requirements there as we look at eligibility. You must be a 501c3 that's located in or serving DeKalb County, legally registered to fundraise in Illinois, and a member of DCMP by March 1st to participate. Each year, registration for Give DeKalb County opens on February 1st. And one thing that I would encourage you to do, whether you're new or a longtime participant, is to attend Give DeKalb County trainings. We go into much more depth, and we are very strategic about what topics we include in our training as we try to come alongside your efforts and provide resources for you to be as successful as possible during Give DeKalb County. Moving on to the internship program, and this has also been going since 2014. It's been a tremendous partnership between DCMP, a couple of different departments at NIU, and also the Roberts Family Foundation. At this point, this is a program that's placed 244 undergraduate interns with over 50 different DCMP members throughout the county, and those interns have performed nearly 30,000 hours of total service in DeKalb County. This is also a little bit strange perhaps to see included in this workshop, but one really compelling piece of this program is that we're able to extend $575 grants to organizations that participate, and that grant is then passed on to the intern as a stipend so that they're paid for their internship. And so another kind of atypical grant program that we offer here, but one that has yielded some tremendous outcomes. And I know many of you joining the meeting today are regular participants in this. To be eligible for the internship program, you must be a DCMP member. It is an online application. You're not going to find that on our website. Instead of that, we share the application through our DCMP e-newsletter twice a year. So that takes place in either November or December if we're planning ahead for the spring semester, or in May or June if we're planning ahead for the fall semester. I'm your best contact to learn more about that. But one tip that I do suggest is that once you see that come across your inbox, if you're interested, we encourage you to apply right away because those spots fill very quickly. Next up is a new grant program that we launched in 2023. This is really for those organizations that are interested in hosting interns or interested in paying interns, but maybe want a little bit more flexibility. The internship program has a tried and true process around it. We have all of these great supports built into that program. Future Leaders internship grants allow organizations the flexibility to recruit their own interns, to maybe seek an intern that's high school aged or could be undergrad like our traditional internship program. But it could also be graduate level interns. So you have more flexibility there. Maybe you want to specify your length of the internship. Maybe this is just during spring break or over the winter term or during the summer. And it also opens the door for you to recruit interns from anywhere. Our traditional internship program is a partnership with NIU and the Roberts Family Foundation. So that means the interns are undergraduate students at NIU. You might have inroads at other universities or colleges or community colleges. So these offer matching grants up to $500 for those organizations who are looking to pay their interns. There's limited reporting requirements for this. It is a quick turnaround. We accept grants on a rolling basis, and so there are no hard deadlines with this. It's open on an ongoing basis. But one thing to note is that your organization is eligible for just one grant per 12-month period. So if you apply this coming March, you wouldn't be eligible again until the following March. Great opportunity, and like I said, we just started offering this in 2023. And that brings me to the final DCMP grant, and that's our Professional Development Microgrant Program. These are grants up to $250 for DCMP members to basically help support your professional development. Like I said, we offer training year-round, but we also realize we can't satisfy all of the professional development of all of our members. And so if you have a specific need, maybe you have a conference coming up, or maybe your board is requesting a consultant come in for a couple of hours with them on a given topic, you can apply for up to $250 through this microgrant program, and we might be able to help support those costs. So another one that has a short application, it is online. You can find it at dcmp.org. Limited reporting, another quick turnaround, and those are also open on a rolling basis. Same as the FLY grants, it's one grant per 12-month period. A little tidbit on this one is that if you're a newer grant writer, this has been a nice way for new grant writers and those that are just kind of trying to get some experience to get that experience and do so with kind of a lower bar, I guess, lower stakes, and also an easier application. So nice way to build a track record with us, and maybe to also get some support for your professional development needs. So that's a little bit about DCMP grants and funding. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Community Engagement Director, Terry Sparts, to talk about proactive grant making.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And I want to talk a little bit about some of our community initiatives that we support through our Community Engagement Committee here. And we kind of tend to think about these initiatives as our 4 E's that we're focused on. And those E's are education, environment, economy, and our newest is equity, which we're building out that strategy. But today I want to talk a little bit about some of the grant programs that are associated with each one of those. These are a little bit different because they're not, you'll learn this as I speak today, but they're not always open grant applications. There's different timing for some of these where we may or may not be offering some of these grant programs in certain years, depending on the other funding priorities in that issue area. So today, though, I want to start with talking about kindergarten readiness. And so with that education initiative, we actually partner with the DeKalb County Collaborative for Young Children, and we do provide funding support to move that initiative forward. So that's a collaborative effort countywide with different stakeholders and organizations and service organizations that work directly with our youngest learners and families to better prepare them for school and life success, and to work with them on the importance of supporting your child in those early years and getting them ready for school. And one of the grant programs that we support in that is our Kindergarten Readiness Toolkit Grant Program. This is a grant program that opens in mid-October to December. December 1st is usually the close. And what this is it's a grant program that is open to kindergarten programs, both public and private, that are located in DeKalb County. And applications become open in mid-October, and you can apply to receive a kindergarten toolkit for each incoming kindergartner to your program. So we've run this program. This is our 6th year, actually. And in this, we partner with local organizations, or local business rather, School Toolbox, to help source and build these toolkits to give to our young learners that do receive these grants. And then also the DeKalb County Farm Bureau provides a farm matching game that is also, oh, I see your comment, thanks. That is also a part of these toolkits. So it's a collaborative effort. And these toolkits actually we're underway and building them right now. As Noah spoke about YEP earlier, our youth engaged in philanthropy students actually help us build the toolkits at School Toolbox. So it's kind of a neat way that we have collaborative partners throughout the county, as well as engaging one of our other programs here at the Community Foundation. All right, next. I'll talk a little bit about our workforce development initiative. We have a workforce development committee that meets monthly here. And that means a lot of different things to different people these days. But to us, we have decided through a countywide survey of employers that they are, we ask them what skills they're looking for when they hire people in their workforce. And they say, we can teach the hard skills, but we can't teach soft skills. So we call soft skills essential skills. And what we've done is you'll see the graphic there is our essential skills wheel for success. And in that wheel are 16 different skills that employers say they would love to see incoming employees have and be ready to go. So those are some of our team building skills, our communication skills, interpersonal skills that we're really trying to build. With this initiative, we really try to do that and starting with some of our younger learners. So we target this program for middle and high school age youth in DeKalb County. And we have offered grants, but we are not offering them at this time. However, we do have an essential skills video series and resource guides that are a free resource to schools and or organizations that are youth serving. So each one of the videos, there's 5 that were locally produced with local students, are a free resource to you and your organization if you'd like to use them in your programming. If you'd like to do that, please reach out to me for that information. And then another one of our E's is environment. And in that, we are focused on watershed planning and improving the health of our Kishwaukee River and our water quality within that. We support this in many different ways, but from the outward facing way that we support it is we oftentimes will offer implementation grants that can be used to fund projects that are associated with water quality issues. So there are some stipulations around that. Grants must be used to implement and or support DeKalb County watershed plans. So if you go to the website at the bottom of that page, DeKalb County Watersheds IL, there's information about what a watershed is, why it's important, but also the completed watershed plans that we have helped fund in DeKalb County. Within those plans, there are recommendations. So a plan takes nearly 2 years, actually 2 years to complete and get approval from the EPA. But once approval is given, communities that fit within that watershed planning area can then leverage that plan to receive other IEPA grants or leverage it for other grants to do some of the implementation projects that are listed within that plan. So there's a lot of great information in there. So I encourage you to go and check out that DeKalb County Watersheds-IL to see if your municipality or your organization may fit into one of those and you have a possibility for funding. And then last but not least, economy is our another E. And many of you that are from a municipality or one of our communities have probably heard about our economic development implementation grant program. This is an online application and up to $20,000 could be used, applied for and utilized for a community economic development implementation project. So this is kind of a part 2 of this program. Years ago in 2016, the Community Foundation allocated $300,000 to incentivize each one of our communities to have an develop an economic development plan for their community and a vision. And so with this grant program, we have allocated another $300,000. So each of those plans can bring some of their projects to life, and our municipalities can bring those projects to life that are indicated in their plans. So the eligibility is you must be a municipality working in partnership with the municipality on moving a project forward. You must have a plan, a completed plan. And these grants are available through December of 2024. This has been a 3-year program. Some of our communities have utilized their dollars, but there are some that actually still have dollars available. So we look forward to receiving those applications this year. And if you have any questions about that program, I'm happy to help, and reach out to me through my email or give me a call. All right.
Okay, thanks, Terry, and Noah and Jolene as well. That's the end of our presentation, and you heard from some of our program staff today, but here's the rest of the Community Foundation team, along with email addresses for all of us. So please don't hesitate to contact us. If questions come up later, or if you want to discuss proposals, that's what we're here for, and we invite that conversation with you. In the meantime, we do have a couple of questions that were submitted during the presentation. The first one is for Jolene, and this person asked, if turned down for the LOI for the large request, can we apply for less than $20,000? And you're muted right now, Jolene.
Thank you. Yes, that is something. If you get feedback from us, from Grants Committee, that your request isn't appropriate for a large request, you're definitely welcome to restructure that application and get it in before the March 1st deadline for under $20,000 for sure.
Okay. Do you have any additional tips or things that this person should keep in mind in that specific situation?
When you get the feedback from us, it'll be in an email, hopefully, with some description there of why perhaps it wouldn't be beneficial to continue that large request. And if you have questions from that, please give us a call and ask more questions. We're here to help and to get successful grant applications up through our committees. So just, ask questions, walk through the proposal. We can set up a time to meet. So, just use us.
Thanks, Jolene. And then the next one is for Terry. And this person is just asking if the kindergarten readiness, is there an option to support homeschooled kindergarten programs?
Actually, not to my knowledge, we've never received an application from a homeschool program. That would be something that we could discuss at committee, but no, to my knowledge so far, we've never received an application. But as long as we're supporting, that readiness aspect for our young learners, that's definitely something we can consider. Thank you for bringing that up. I've never had that question before.
Yeah, great question. And it was from an anonymous guest. So if you want to follow up on that, please directly contact Terry. You can see her email there on the slide. Seeing no other questions, I want to thank you again for attending. We encourage you to check out dcmp.org and also DeKalbCCF.org for upcoming events, grant information. There's so much more information available on those websites, so please take advantage of that as well. Thank you again for attending. Thank you to our presenters, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.